his advice. Jatin Chowdhury is our third panelist, and he graduated from USC with an MS in electrical engineering in the May of 2020. So congratulations, Jatin, a very, very recent graduate. He was the Viterbi Graduate Student Association Student Ambassador for 1.5 years, and currently he is the VSGA Alumni Ambassador. He works in Intel Corporation. He did his bachelor's degree in electronics and communication engineering from VTU Bangalore. Apart from being an engineer, he's also an actor, director, chef, writer, and traveler. And when I asked if he would serve on this panel, even though it was early morning for him since he's in the US, he said, anything for USC. So welcome to all the three panelists. I appreciate you taking the time to join us today. To the audience, thank you for all the many questions that you submitted to us at the time of registration. I folded in many of the similar questions together into one question, and we'll try to get to all of them today. My colleague Divangna will also be interacting with you and will be monitoring the Q&A. And time permitting, we'll take on more questions, but you may want, we will wait on answering those questions till the very end, the ones that you'll be submitting right now. So before we actually get into the Q&A, I just want to give a small disclaimer. USC does not promote or recommend any financial instruments. So even if we discuss it today or mention it today, it is your responsibility to do your research, and USC does not promote any financial instrument. So the first questions we are going to deal with would be about the I-20. The I-20, your financial documents are due April 15th, as all of you know. The amount that is required in the USC financial statement for Viterbi graduate students for MS is $70,872. Further, it's broken down as tuition of $46,948 and a living expense of $23,924. So everybody sees, all the students see that the tuition, the I-20 amount is for year one. And at the same time, so the question that normally all the students ask is, do I need to show double that when I am submitting my financial statements or when I go to a visa interview? So we're going to ask our panelists the answer to that question. So I'm going to address this question first to Kailash. What did you do when you were a student? You're muted right now.
First of all, everybody, congratulations for your admit. And we are all here to answer your questions. Any questions that you may have, feel free to write in the chat, and we have lot of things to cover. So without further delay, I-20. So USC, whenever sends out an I-20, of course, based on their curriculum and for current year, they would have calculated everything nice and clean that this is the amount that you need. Now, for sure, there are two main things. One is the tuition fee and the other is the housing. I know these are discovered. Now, if you opt for the off-campus housing, actual expense will be far less. But here, if we come about the visa questions, usually when you go in front of visa consulate, okay, I'm going to USC, your half battle is won, basically, right? Because those who are getting admitted at USC, people know that it's a college, you are very much interested in your education, you know what you are going to do. So it'll be more about the generic questions. But if you're still worried that, what should I show as a finance, should I show the double amount, triple amount, same amount? Ideally, I would say show whatever maximum that you can do. For sure, it should be at least covering the I-20 amount. So let's say your I-20 is of, for example, $70,000, right? Just a rough number based on your curriculum, whatever that you have chosen, it might be different. So at least show $70,000 and try to show more amount in your liquid assets, right? So you have your physical assets, another is the liquid assets. So try to show the liquid assets just about the equal amount of the I-20. You don't need to go about doubling and all that. And, half of the time, I would say 70, 80% of time, nobody in the visa consulate will ask you for the financial paper. Okay, show me this particular, amount. So just stay worry free. I think the number one thing that is needed is your confidence. So I don't think you have to worry about the I-20 amounts and all that. So I'll just keep at it. Sudha? You're on mute.
Yeah. So Jaydeep, do you want to say something about this? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so Kailash is quite right about the half petal one about the USC. Since you have admit from the USC, you are definitely a student with a strong qualification. As far as the finances is concerned, visa officer is more. I want to know from your interview, from a face-to-face, that are you going to have enough finance or not? So as Kailash mentioned, you must have at least the liquid savings available, which is equivalent to a first year of expenses, that is $70,000 in case of the USC. And for the second year, you have to have enough liquid balance available. So yes, he's quite right, and I second his opinion. There is no need to prepare an additional fixed asset documents or evaluation document or documents signed by the chartered accountant showing crores of rupees of assets. It's not a requirement. Since you're going to USC, it itself is a big qualification for you. You're going to one of the most reputed options in the USA. So don't worry much, but yes, keep your finances ready. Understand how to present it to the visa officer orally when the visa officer asks about how to finance your education, who is going to pay for your expenses and everything. In that case, you need to prepare properly, whether it's a family funding, whether it's a self-funding, whether it's a loan that you've taken, or a mix of everything. It's fine. You just need to give answer with a confident manner. I think Kailash is quite right.
Yeah, great advice. So the next question I'm going to ask Jatin, because he just graduated. Jatin, when you graduated with a degree in ECE, how much did you actually spend at USC? Can you give me a rough estimate?
So I consider my case as one of those best cases because I planned it really well. Because I got an internship, I got a co-op, and I was a mentor of a course, and all these three jobs were very good, very high-paying jobs. So it costed me around 25 lakhs maximum, I think, and not more than that, because I did not ask for any money from my parents for the whole last semester and for the living for 2 years. So that did not cost me much. Yeah.
Right. So let me modify that question. How much would you have spent at USC had you not received any of these?
Yes. Yeah. So I have the calculated rough figure based on the current cost and
rough is fine.
Yeah. So it worst case, if you do not get any on-campus job, any internship, any co-op, any full-time job, you'll be end up spending around 55 to 60 lakhs INR, based on the current conversion rates and based on the current per credit cost. During my time, it was around 48 to 55 lakhs. Yeah,
Okay.
when I was coming here.
All right. So just to sum up about the I-20, you do not need to show double the amount. And usually the I-20 amount is not something that the university, that number, the 72,000 is not something that the university comes up with. It is something that the US government comes up with. And the amount in the I-20, if you look at how much it is for tuition, the 46,948 approximately covers about 22 units of tuition. So if your program is about, say, 28 units, then year 2, your tuition costs will be far lower than year 1. In the same way, they cover a living expense of 23,924. And Indian students tell me that they are spending, well, and Jatin can give me the accurate information at this point. How much were the living expenses?
So I think per month, I think $700 is a good amount, and I did the calculation. It is reaching around $17,000 for 2 years, 700 into 24. So that is no way reaching to the amount which is mentioned in the I-20. So,
right. The average I hear from students is about $1,000. You know, living a frugal lifestyle. But Jatin can tell you how you can get away with 700.
700 is the right amount. I just know one guy from my group who was living a frugal life, still like he was within $1,000. So I mean, definitely not 1,000. Yeah.
All right. So the next question will go into financing and loans. So Jaydeep, this question is for you. How much should the education loan be as a percentage of the full amount needed for studies?
So, Sudha, this is something a very subjective matter, and the answer differs from student to students and availability of the finance with a sponsor. Like in our Indian students' case, is mostly the family, parents who sponsor the students' education. So when you approach certain financial institutions like public sector banks in India or some private lenders also, they provide ranging from 70% to 100% of the amount of your spending. So it's if you don't want to spend your entire saving on your education, then you keep those money saved in some specific government like bonds or something, very safe instruments, and you can avail the loan as much as you wish. Now, there is no specific limit to this. You have to decide that how much money, how much a personal fund I want to spend on my education, and how much loan I need to get. Now, there is a ratio. Normally, students from my region, a ratio of 70 to 30%. Why? Because the students and parents here in my region are quite aware about the finances and investments. They know the value of compounding interest of the investments. So when you keep it saved, your own funding, you earn the interest, and that to a compounding interest regularly. And if you take a loan and when you start repaying the loan, you are definitely a decreasing amount slowly, of course. So there is a benefit of taking a loan, that is for sure. As far as the ratio is concerned, that is something very a personal and subjective matter. Everyone has to go through the process. They need to sit with the lenders. They need to understand that what will be beneficial. Like if you are going for a 35 lakhs rupees of loan, fine, and your expenses would be around 40 lakhs. You just have to cover the 5 lakhs amount. The 35 lakhs rupees of a self-funding, 40 lakhs rupees of self-funding will make your family miserable in times of contingencies like currently we're facing. So it's always advisable to go for a loan, even if you have enough funding. My perception is a personal opinion is when you take a loan on your education, it will make you say accountable. You have the sense of responsibility that okay, though my father is the main sponsor for the loan, but I have to repay. So there is a sense of responsibility, sense of accountability. If you altogether use your parents' money for education, then you won't have sense of responsibility. Fine. It's always advisable to go for loan, and you can ask your family to keep the personal funding saved in a safe instrument like bank fixed deposits and so on.
Okay, very good. Thank
Sudha,
you.
can I add a point here?
Yes, please.
I have seen a lot of students getting 100% loan, and there's no harm. Even for the visa interview, if you think that I'm funding 100% using my education loan, there's no harm in that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, getting a
Yeah.
visa would not be difficult.
And I have personally spoken with visa counselors as well. And basically, they just want to know, they want the student to have a good plan for how they are financing their education. And if you have a clear-cut idea of which is viable on how you're planning to do it, then there should be no problem. Okay. So the next question, Kailash, is for you. How did you pay off your education loan?
So can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So in my case, basically, it was multiple that I did. Now I am a 2010 batch, right? And I completed my master's for 20 lakhs. Okay. So just don't be surprised, but back then USD to INR rate was 45. But anyways, with that particular figure was also, you know, something that I needed to manage. So here is what I did, right? So I took, you know, some portion as an educational loan. We had a family savings. So we put in some family savings into my education. And the third thing that I really was fortunate to receive funding from one of the industrialists, basically. You know, we have, you know, my father worked with a company, and this company's founder or the director, he offered that, okay, your son is going for the graduation, and we created a, you know, proper, you know, that summary that this is what I'll be studying, this is what I'll do that, and we kind of approached to that company, and I was able to, you know, get the funding from the company, basically. So this is very unusual, but it is possible. So, you know, these are the three things that I did. One is the education loan, another is the, you know, family savings that we had, and the third one is the amount from the private company where my father was working, right? So this is how I did it, and it's very easy to, you know, just calculate the amount and, you know, decide when you will need the money, because you don't need entire, let's say, $70,000 upfront. You only need for first semester, maybe second semester. So it is very easy to manage the funds this way. So for me, it was, as I said, like very fortunate to, you know, get this kind of a thing. But I completely agree with Jatin also that, you know, if you get a education loan, go take it for sure, basically. So, you know, you'll be able to repay that very easily once you graduate with, you know, great numbers from USC. So yeah.
Okay. So the next question is, since you have suggested that you take a loan, who is the best loan provider? Jaideep?
Again, Sudha, there is no
I
best
ask you
loan
all the
provider.
tough questions, Jaideep.
But there is no best loan provider. I hope, I mean, the students here present, they must have approached by now with some of the lenders. Like if we take an example of the public sector bank, that is State Bank of India, then you need to check the processing time and the processing fee. Time is something very important for all of you. Currently, it is 31st of March we are discussing, and you need to submit all your documents to USC to get an I-20, and then you have to process for your visas. So if you are approaching today to any public sector bank and they are delaying the process because of situation beyond their control, you know the current situation in India. In the case, you probably are going to miss the deadlines. So what will you do? And again, you need to check the upper limit of the loan. Like, for example, State Bank of India has probably an upper limit of 20 lakhs, if I'm not wrong, correct me, or you can check with the State Bank website. Plus, you need to understand the processing fee, processing time, and the rate of interest. Only favor for the public sector bank is their rate of interest. So it's again a very subjective matter. If you have a very good relationship with any public sector bank, you have a running account since years, you have a good business relationship with the bank, then you definitely go for the public sector bank. It saves a lots of money if you are taking a huge loan like 30-40 lakhs of rupees. But if it's a smaller amount, you may check with the private lenders like HDFC Credila and others. They have a very specific service category. It's basically a home service they provide. They come to your home, they collect all your documents, you need not to worry. They even go for the valuation of your collateral securities. Like if you go for a more than 20 lakhs rupees of loan, they'll ask for collateral. At the same time, you can negotiate the interest rate with these private lenders. If you are very good at academics, very good at GRE, you got into USC, you have a good financial standing as well, then you can definitely ask for a little lower rate compared to the market or the published interest rates. So it's kind of, you need to evaluate all. You need to basically go for a window shopping, check with SBI, check with PNB, check with HDFC Credit or other private lenders. Yes, there are pros and cons between public sector and private sector lenders. And as Kailash mentioned, you need to check with other private players also. Like you can check with your father's employers, or check with the company where your family members is working, whether they are going to provide some kind of loans available from the big corporate houses in India, or some scholarships available. So all means of finances, but only issue right now is the timeline. So you should go as fast as possible if you really need an education loan.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Kailash, you had something to add over here?
So yeah, just adding to Jaideep's point, I have come across in last few years, and I'm not just endorsing anything, but there is a portal from the government called NSDL, and they have something called Vidya Sarthi, Vidya Chetana. These are the portals available. In one of the portal, I think it is Vidya Chetana, where a student can create a loan application for the abroad education, and you can select 4 banks at a time. So that one application, you can select 4 banks. And when you submit the application, there you go. Your application goes to 4 banks at the same time. So you don't have to fill a form for each bank. So, definitely, check it out. It's under government. NSDL is the official, organization which is handling. And the portal name is Vidya Sarthi and Vidya. So Google it and you'll be able to find out. Yeah.
Okay, so moving on from bank loans and financing is the question of, how do you earn money while you are at USC, right? So the first question is for Jatin. Jatin, is there any portal where we can search for on-campus jobs?
So when I was there, and I think now also that portal is there. Connect SC is the best portal where we can look for all kinds of on-campus jobs, I would say, but don't restrict yourself to that. I would say that I think Kailash would like to add more on that because he had the answers, but there are jobs related to your academics, which are like mentors, course producers, course graders. They are very good paying jobs, on campus jobs, and that way you can stay in touch with your academics as well. Other types of jobs are, you can like I myself worked with IT, and I worked in library, I worked in the computer center, I worked as an event usher, and yeah, so I worked in a computer center, I worked as librarian. So all those kinds of jobs also you should definitely look for. One suggestion to all of you is that have your resumes handy, and if it is difficult for you to get a job, just don't hesitate in walking from door to door, like from different buildings of one building to different building of USC, and don't hesitate in asking, right? Because I know of a few of my friends who were in USC Viterbi, but they got on-campus jobs in dental school bookstore just because they approached them, right? So keep an eye, make good contacts with your seniors, because most of the Indians end up getting the jobs their seniors were working on. So it gets just like referral system works really well here. So it gets just passed on to the juniors. So yeah, connect with your seniors.
This is my advice to all of you. Please learn how to network. Those of you who have good connections with your seniors, who have an ability to go and talk to strangers, you will thrive. The ones who don't have those skills, learn those skills. They will come in very handy. So networking is very important, not just for finding on-campus jobs, but also for finding internships and jobs as well. The next question is, how can I get on-campus part-time job opportunities from my day one of fall 21?
Is it to me, Sudha?
Yes, Jatin, if you want.
I got it.
So I just want to add a small point. No student is allowed to start working without a social security card. So that will take a few days for you to get. The social security office is very close to the campus. But till you get the social security card, you cannot work. And you are allowed to work about 20 hours a week as a F1 student, international student. Starting July of 21, the minimum wages in California are going up to $15 an hour. So you can actually make a fair amount of money doing on-campus jobs. So how soon did you find your on-campus job, Jatin?
I landed in US on 3rd of August 2018. I got my job on 6th of August 2018 within like 3 days. And it's not like I approached those people beforehand, but the day I landed, I heard that there are some interviews going on for the event usher job. And the application deadline was already over. But I just went there with my resume and I got selected. So this is where I would like you to not hesitate in approaching anyone. I mean, you'll be welcomed with open arms. So they just want to hear from you. They just want to see your interest in doing something. So I told that lady, I just landed from India and I could not fill the application. She just handed me over an application form and I got a job. So the more approachable you are.
Okay. Kailash, this question is for you. As the president of the Association of Indian Students, you were very much in touch with other Indian students. Do you know how easy it was to get an on-campus job?
Yeah, so, personally, when we were as part of Association of Indian Students, we had these kind of multiple sessions with new students. So whenever new students used to come, we used to guide them, how to go about every single thing in front of the Levy library. We used to have this. Now, just to answer your question, how easy it is, same story like Jatin. I got the on-campus job from on the 4th day when I landed in US. And the way that we were able to do is, me and my roommate, we got a buy for $50 and we started each and every building at USC. And these things actually were told by our seniors, because we were touch with the seniors and USC alumni, and they clearly had given. So whatever right now we are iterating, even after 10 years, they had clear guidelines that just go out and take decision, meet people, talk to people. Your English has to be very nice and clean, wear nice clothes, prepare your resume and go and talk to people. Hey, I have this background, I can do this, I can do that. So it's very easy. I got a job at USC bookstore for that $8.50, I remember. And, it was wonderful. And basically after that, I, did multiple jobs. And another thing with respect to on-campus jobs, so just to make everybody feel little happy in a way, that at USC, all kinds of jobs are available, every kind of job. So if you need something like a grader, you can do that. If you want to, be as a reception at Levy Library, you can do that. Security, IT, work with professor, you can reach out to professor and say, professor, I really like your grades, these subjects that you're teaching. You know what, I can help out preparing questionnaire, I can do this. And professors, they are also very cooperative. They'll say, okay, yeah, I need this particular thing, why don't you, start helping me, and then there you go, you got your job. So this is so most of you will get a job if you try. So that is very easy. Another thing, people during that time used to say that it is a chicken and egg problem. What is it? That, when I go somewhere and say I'm looking for a job, this person like, do you have SSN? I'm like, no. And then on the other hand, to get an SSN, they'll be like, do you have a job? So that's the thing. During that time it was. And so, this was the situation. My manager at USC bookstore, she was very kind. She was like, go, fill up this application, go there and you'll be done. So, she was able to give us a paper. There was some paper that we needed to submit to the SSN office, and we got it, and it was very fast. So it is very easy to get the job. Remember, when you start your fall semester or your first semester, you have to have a job which is little easy at your end, because you are just getting used to the environment and you have to do a lot of things. But anyways, any job that you'll be taking, you have to get. But post, changing jobs, you'll be getting grader job, you will be getting TA-ship, many things. So, there are plenty of opportunities, and you have to kind of, I'll just end here. You have to kind of manage it with respect to your course load, So what kind of courses this semester is really heavy, then I'm going to do this kind of job. So you can do that easily. And yeah, so that's my answer.
That's right. So Jatin, one question that students had was, is it the same even now after COVID? Jatin, you must have students who just graduated, right? How was it during the COVID time?
I think the opportunities, no, so if we consider for the upcoming students, since you told me that the college is, the USC campus is in full capacity now, so it is very, yeah, it's going to be full capacity. So that is very good opportunity, because I think for past 1 year, most of the students have been working online, or they have not been working on any on-campus job. So there will be plenty of new jobs coming in the fall 21. So it's a good opportunity. So I think you should not be worried about the time when, you have not arrived, because it's gonna be, the grass is going to be green when you arrive. So,
okay. So the next question is something that I'm going to take, and that is it possible to get a TA-ship or an RA-ship at USC Viterbi? So I know that we reserve the bulk of the RA-ships and the TA-ships for our PhD students. However, I think in the computer science department, in the electrical engineering department, it is possible to get TA-ships for our master's students as well, but it's not going to happen the first semester. Chances are it could happen the second semester, and it is a selective process. So, so it's not that every student will get a TA-ship. That is not something that is likely to happen. But the grader positions are very good. And also all the different on-campus jobs. Well, I mentioned that the $15 was the minimum wage. If you become a network administrator in one of our computer labs, or if you're designing the website for a department, the salary is much more. For students who want to do some research, right? The way to do it's not possible to get a RA-ship as a master's student, but what is possible is to get paid almost as the same as a RA, but by doing hourly work for a faculty member. So there are many opportunities, especially at the Information Sciences Institute. and with other professors where you could be doing similar work to an RA. But again, these are competitive and not every student will get them. Okay. So the next question. Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt you. Can I
No,
just
go
add
ahead.
one line here?
Of course.
Yeah, so guys, don't go behind the TA and RA, those terms, because so in E department we have course mentors, so which is nothing but TA. So course mentors, they just assign it only since the TA and RA ship, there is a rule that should be assigned to PhD students. The professors have opened course mentors and course producers these positions, and they are like they pay equally as compared to the TA ship or RA ship. Just the title has changed. So course mentors are nothing but the TAs. So
Okay.
get this out.
So,
Sudha,
yes.
I have a question for all three of you, and I think Jatin can answer because he's a fresh graduate, and Kailash can also answer this question. How many students actually land in the USA and get a job at least within 6 months of time? The ratio I'm asking. Why this
That
is
is
important? Because students, every and any students who wish to come to USA and that to USC, they will definitely look to finance their education by any means. So, of course, the go-getter attitude is there, fire in the belly kind of attitude there, or pure luck is there. That is fine. But I'm asking for the ratio, like 400 students going to land in the USC in the next August, and within 6 months, the first semester, the ratio of the students who have a good, I mean, kind of job that at least they can finance their living expenses.
Right.
so.
So in my experience, I don't know of a student who badly wants a job who did not get one.
Oh, wow.
Jatin, what is that?
Exactly.
Kailash and Jatin, what is your experience?
So if you go for the number of students who did not have an on-campus job, who badly wanted an on-campus job and did not have after the first semester, is very less. I would say if you are saying 400 Indian students, I would say 2 or 3, and they did not want to do it because they are like, we have enough finances from our home, and I would just like to focus on my studies, and that was the reason. And these are the people I know personally. So
Okay, all right. So moving on, the F1 visa rules are that you have to work only on campus during the first 2 semesters. So you cannot, if you join in the fall of 21, you become eligible for your internships off campus only in the summer of 22. Okay, so this is the rule across the US, and it is for all students on an F1 visa. So the question now, since we are moving to CPT and OPT, will USC provide assistance to students to secure jobs and internships during their CPT and OPT? As these avenues can also be considered as sources of funding. Jatin, what was your experience for your, where did you do your internship and how did you get it?
Yes, so for the assistance question, yes, definitely USC will not leave you. I mean, it's not you who is looking for any kind of assistance. It's the USC who will look for you. Hey, you are the master student, come here, attend this session, get it done. So definitely, yes, there will be assistance provided. There are various events which I would like to point out here. I have been to resume review sessions as well. So if you think your resume is pretty good and you wanted to get it reviewed, still they will, I mean, and these sessions are being held by the representatives from the companies. So what they look into the resumes. So that is one good session which I found. There are mock interview sessions as well. Very important thing which I would not like anyone of you to miss are Trojan talks. These talks are hosted by representatives from different companies, and that's a very good place to get in touch with the recruiters and hiring managers. And most of the students, so the early birds, if I would say, the early students who gets an internship, most of them, 95% of them got it through Trojan talks. It is very easy. Like it's like you are hungry and food is coming to you. I would say.
Okay. Then if you don't mind, would you share with us at least an approximate amount of how much you earn per month on your internship, and which company did you work for?
So I did my summer internship at Cisco in San Jose. I would like to add one line before that. Your salary depends on the location and depends on the company as well. So if you are, I've generally seen that software companies pay a lot, but I got $42 per hour during my summer internship, and I did my co-op. There I got $47 per hour. I did my co-op at HCL Technologies here in US, and most of the companies, if you look from that perspective, you will be in the range of $35 per hour to $45 per hour.
Okay. Kailash, what about you?
So back then, I've had number of internships, from second year, LA Metro, one iPhone development company in Irvine. Back then I was paid around $25 basically. And that was
which year again, Kailash?
2008-9 time frame. So $25 was the amount, and many of my friends also did get $40 stipend per hour.
Okay. So I think the salaries have kind of risen since Kailash's time, luckily. So I think Jatin is more representative of what kind of salaries that we are seeing right now. Okay, and I'm going to request Devangna to actually, we have a very nice video of how to find a job, how to build a career at USC. That we did, a very nice panel discussion that we did last year. So Devangna, if you could just share the link to that in case the students have not seen it, but it kind of gives you an overview of what the hiring process is like and how to find the job. Right? USC has two career fairs, one in the fall and one in the spring. The one that you would attend in the fall of 21 will, the spring of 22 will help you find an internship for the summer of 22, apart from the other online avenues that you have. All right.
Sudha, can I add one more line there as well? So there's a separate career for USC Viterbi students only. So you have, per semester, you have two chances, two career fairs happening. Right, so you like per year you have 4 chances of attending career fairs. One tip I would like to give is that get up as early as possible and just go and stand in the queue so that you'll be able to attend more number of companies, because I've seen people just attending like 2 or 3 companies because they got up late and the queues are really long.
Yeah. So yeah, USC is one of the very few universities that has a career center dedicated to Viterbi students. And it's not a 1 or 2 person office. It actually has about 10 full-time staff, and they are very, very, very proactive and extremely helpful. So they will do mock interviews with you. They will help you with your resume. They'll teach you how to network. They'll tell you what an elevator pitch is. Things that you have no idea at this point. So one of the great things about USC students by the time they graduate is that they are very well prepared and they're able to present themselves very well, assuming that they've used the services of the Career Center. All right. The next question, is there an option to do a co-op after the summer internship? I know Kailash or Jatin, one of you have mentioned that you did a co-op. Jatin, you want to say anything?
So you will be doing internship in summer 2022. If you want to do a co-op in fall 2020, no, not in fall, like in spring 2023, yes, you can do that, provided you'll have 9 months of CPT period available to you to use. So you will be using 3 months of CPT period during your summer internship, and during your last semester you can do co-op. One other thing which people I've seen students doing is that So after your first year is completed, you can join summer internship for 40 hours per week. And then if you want to continue the same internship for your fall semester as well. So you will be coming back to USC for your third semester. You want to continue your internship, just talk to your manager, but you will have to work only for 20 hours because you will have to manage the courses. So summer internship followed by the co-op in fall semester only for 20 hours. That is, I think, 3 or 4 months, and then join them back again in your last semester for another co-op. So that way you will be working throughout your last year. And I've seen a lot of students doing that as well, and that's how you'll even clear your loans before you graduate.
Right. I mean, USC has a lot of workshops that it conducts about how the CPT works, how OPT works. So you do need to get clearance for everything. You need to take, reduce course load. They are, as a F1 student, you do need to be a full-time student for, that is the expectation. But you can make use of some of the regulations, and they can help you navigate some of those rules. But you need to be very careful to make sure that you do not violate your visa requirements. All right, moving on to the next question. Is it, if a student doesn't get an internship offer during the summer, what are the other areas that he can technically work and be able to earn a stipend? Jatin, since you're the most recent graduate, maybe you can take that question.
Yeah. So if you don't get an internship and you don't have an on-campus job until that time, I would say summer semester is a great time to find an on-campus job, because most of the students leave their on-campus jobs and go for internships. So there are more opportunities for on-campus jobs now. And one more thing which I would like to add is that during your summers and winter breaks, you can work 40 hours. So during the semester, you can work only 20 hours on your on-campus jobs. But during your summer breaks and winter breaks, you can work up to 40 hours. So if you find any job like that, it is great. Like, that is the point. Only when you want to fund yourself, if you don't get in summer internship. I've seen students taking one course along with this. So they'll do 40 hours job, and they'll take one course, so that you can show during the co-op interviews and during your full-time interviews, you can show that since you did not have a summer internship, you did this course. Okay, so it should not be like you did not do anything for 3 months.
Yeah, good. So I think the next question is it possible for MS students to get engaged in research work in a research center? I think for the computer science students, okay, just going backwards, as part of your coursework itself, you can register for something called directed research units. And when you do that, you can do a small research project under a professor, and these units will count towards your graduation, so you don't have to take extra. If you want to get paid for it, places like the Information Sciences Institute, the ICT do hire summer research interns, but you do need to be you need to have a good academic record and impress the faculty. So yes, there are opportunities for you to do research while at USC, and if you want to build up your research background, maybe because you're planning to do a PhD, there are avenues where you can do that, but you need to be competitive, and then there will be opportunities. So I think before we move on from this topic, Jatin, maybe you kind of touched about how you were able to, what your experience was. So can you elaborate just a little bit more on how you financed your education?
Yeah, so I calculated roughly like 60 lakhs for both the years, and for my education and my living expenses, everything. So that was my worst case, and I had around 15 lakhs of support from my family, and I took a loan. I got 40 lakhs of loan sanctioned. So and then rest I had confidence that I'll fund on my own by finding on campus job, because the rest amount, like, which is around 15-20 lakhs, that is only for the living expenses. So for first semester, I got money from my parents. That was around 11 to 12 lakhs, and I got a non-campus job from like during the first week itself. So I was able to fund my living expenses from there. The second semester, I got around 12 lakhs reimbursed from my loan, and third and fourth semester, I paid it only through my internship and co-op. My co-op was well paying, so in last semester you will have only one course left. So I saved a lot of money from there and closed my loan even before I graduated.
Okay, thank you. So Kailash, how do people pay off their loans? Whatever balance they have left.
So is it like after your graduation, of course? Right?
Yeah, after your graduation, yes.
Yeah. So as we have seen the numbers, right? So let's say, for example, in current year, let's take an average that you need to spend maybe $70,000, right? For 2 years. Now, experience has been super wonderful. Actually, he has been able to pay much of his loan amount during his graduation. This is amazing. Now, even if, let's say, it is not that you don't get that much high paying job or co-op or internship, of course you're going to get the job after your graduation. Minimum, I think, minimum salary for I don't know the measure wise, computer science, how many electrical and all that, but at least you will be getting $80,000 to $90,000 for sure as your starting salary, right? And I'm just gonna talk about the numbers here. Now 90,000 is what you're getting as a fresher when you join a company. 30%, 33% you have to deduct as a taxation. The rest of the amount you have to calculate for your living expense, right? Same at USC what you did. So your living expense plus your food and all other things. If you deduct all of this, at least 1/3 of your income you'll be able to save. So for example, $30,000 you were able to save in a first year. Second year again the same. Chances are that your salary in the second year will be 100,000. You can easily get at least 10%. And third year, within 3 years, you'll be able to pay off your education loan very easily. So this calculation is applicable to pretty much everybody. Now here is another thing, okay? It's your priority. So what's your priority like? Education loan or some other things, depends on you. For me, it was the education loan. So even I got a job, I'm always, kind of, I don't like to stay alone and, things like that. I've always stayed with roommates throughout my life in US, right? 3 roommates or whatever. So even when I got job, I used to stay with roommates. So my, rent was, 1/3, because majority of my time will be at my company and all that. And of course, the rest of the time. So I was able to save a lot of money there. And of course, then you have your car, you'll have some other things. So it depends on you how you want to plan your loan repayment thing and your finances basically. But if you take care of the best cases, you will be able to easily repay your loan in 2 years or maximum 3 years. So I was able to do that. Same situation that I've shared happened with me, and
Kailash has
it's
covered
not
the
a
worst
stressful
case,
thing
I
at all.
would say. Kailash has
Sorry?
covered the worst case, because most of my friends who had around 25 to 30 lakhs of loan amount, they ended up paying in 6 months of their job. So that completely depends on you. I would agree with Kailash what your priorities are. And it's not like they have been living with less resources. They have been living a proper life, and they paid off 25 to 30 lakhs loan in like 6 months. So
Yeah, thank you. I think a lot of students should be feeling very encouraged I know that the salary ranges that we see are somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000. So these are starting salaries for our engineering students.
If you'll end up a job in Bay Area, your salary will be minimum, I would say 105K. And most of these students end up getting a job from 110K to 120K in Bay Area. 90K, it starts from 90K to 100K if you are in Austin, but you are just paying 10% tax. You are not paying 10% state tax. You are just paying federal tax. So
Okay.
that is the advantage.
Very good. So I think that part we're going to move on, because now I get the lifestyle questions. So these questions, I think maybe Kailash and Jatin can handle. So if one person has covered pretty much everything, then don't say anything. But if they missed a point, then jump in and add that. So how do I find a balance between work and academics? Jatin, go first.
All right, I would say keep in mind one thing. Like, this was my formula, so if it applies to you, then it would be great. My formula was success is equals to planning plus hard work plus confidence plus luck, and you'll need all of them here. So planning being the first and the most important part. Since I was an actor too, and I did not want to lose the chance to do those things while I'm here in the city of Hollywood. So you have to plan everything really well. As I said, you will have plenty of resources when it comes to your education. You will have a lot of Trojan talks and everything going on. Along with that, you will have your coursework and then your projects lined up, then companies coming up for interviews. So you'll have to plan everything really well. I think Kailash can add more on that, definitely.
Sure. So yeah, I mean, so planning is definitely needed, and I really loved my life at USC. Those 2 years were super wonderful. The reason is this, right? And this is very much practical. I'll tell you. When I was in undergrad in Mumbai, I scored like the first class. I was the medalist, gold medalist in my engineering college, right? The first top 2 students. When I went to USC, I saw that curriculum level, everybody's like that. And another thing is, academics is really wonderful, but at the same time, if I just shift it a little bit, all other extracurricular activities, they are superbly amazing. So this part really attracted me. And basically, but even though, the way I would advise is that the way you have to do is plan your academics first, right? So basically, don't feel that I'll have a lot of time. No, it's USC. There are so many things happening around, and you'll be like, should I go here? Should I do this? What should I do? Right? So what do you do? Then let's say you have 3 courses or three, or some, if you are taking reduced course load, then 2. Then plan which days that you have. Block your calendar, Google Calendar, whatever you want to use. So these items that you have blocked. So plan your academic first, and for every course, because remember, things are not theoretical. Everything is super practical, right? At USC, you have to spend time with your assignments, your coding, a lot of things. So you have to block time for your reading as well. Once you have done this, now you can see, okay, how many days they're open, and then now you look for various other activities that you can do to improve your communication skills. My communication wasn't that great after USC, because I was just talking to people. A lot of things I was doing, it kind of improved. So you talk to a lot of people, attend all the networking events. There are many student organizations available. I don't know, VGSA, GPSS, AIS. Many organizations are there. There are various mixers, a lot of events happening. So make sure you decide based on your interest, and attend these events, talk to people, and do things accordingly. And at the same time, now you have to plan the other things, right? If you have to do your groceries, your work at home, so a lot of time will also go there. You have to cook. If you want to save money, you'll be cooking. and all of these. So if you are, staying with roommates, and if you are able to plan that, today you will cook, tomorrow I will do that and all that. So a lot of things are there. Everything is manageable. But one thing I'll say, these are just 2 years. And what I experience is they just pass by very fast. I'm like, what happened? I want, and there you go. It's May 2010 and say, okay, you graduated, go now. So I really felt that, 2 years passed by really quickly. I would have missed out on many of the opportunities at USC. But if you plan well, so plan your academics well. See, if you graduate with 3.0 GPA, not good, not good. You have to at least get 3.4 plus. I don't know, Jatin might be 4, but one of my roommate had got, because of whatever extra activities or whatever, he got little below 3 in his third semester or so. And then I'm like, look, every amount that you have invested is for this academics. Okay, so academics has to be first. You have to get at least 3.4, 3.5, 3.6, whatever it is, because job that you'll be getting, you'll be able to tell, look, I'm great at academics. So you will, again, in the interview also, you will win the battle if you have a good GPA. Of course, you have to talk, you have to explain, you have to code, and all of these things are absolutely necessary. So academics first. Once you think that you are under control, all those late nights that you'll be studying at Levy Library, or all the assignments that you will be doing, and also another thing, be part of a group. I know that several people wants to study alone. That's fine. You can have your alone hours. But then every course at USC, professors actually encourage group discussions. There are many group discussions happening at Levy or many other places that you can be part of, so that you feel like you're not left alone. And that will actually prepare you for things in your exams and all that. So academic first, make your calendar available for other activities, and from these activities, choose which one you really want to go, and decide. USC has everything for everybody, basically, right? So right from cinema schools to engineering to many things, right? So I can go on and on talking about it, and this is coming from my heart, so really, it's we are kind of very fortunate to be part of USC and USC alumni. But it's just 2 years, right? So I'll just summarize that, plan well and you will get the maximum out of your 2 years. So
okay. I think being able to have several balls in the air at the same time will help a lot. So, multitasking, brush up on those skills as fast as you can. All right, so the next question is a very interesting one, and kind of leads off what you were mentioning, Kailash. And it is, given the end goal is to land a corporate job, what should you prioritize? Developing the relevant job skills or excelling academically? Kailash, you want to take that first?
Sure. So I'll just, again, I'll try to summarize, and based on my experience, of course, it's an opinion. The question is that, what is it like? What is better, like exceeding academic really well versus the job skills, right? So I would say, like, it's a balance. For sure, your academics has to be great. I already covered that. At least you have to maintain that thing. Now, sometimes I've seen some of my friends also, they have gone really deep into academics, in the sense, they're exploring every single thing. They've got, great courses that they have taken because they like some subjects and all that. And they explain this simple thing to the interviewer, and guess what, they got the job because he got really into, let's say, principle of communication, then networking, and then 600 level courses inside. Interviewer understands, yeah, man, this guy has got some expertise. So that is one level of the academic way that you can go in. Personally, my opinion is you have to balance. You have to at least get, and again, it depends on your generalization, right? I was in general category, in the sense, computer science general, not a specialized one like networking or database or anything like that. I would keep it like a balance. What you have to do is, first thing first, academics really good. Second is your coding skills. Now, USC, don't worry, whatever coding skills that you have right now here, it is only going to get improved, because it has to improve. There is no other way. Okay, so coding skill will be like, of course, I'm just talking about computer science, but we have other engineering fields also. You're technically, you should be, very, I would say, like, your expertise should come out well. In the sense, you need not know everything in detail, but if somebody asks that, what is this concept? Like, for example, I was asked a simple question when I was given, when I took interview at Microsoft. That guy was like, Kailash, explain me how the browser works, right? I'm like, what? The Chrome browser, you explain me how it works. You go to it, then it goes somewhere, what the information coming back. This simple funda, you don't need to, do some like, deep level operating system, linked list or any of these things, right? All you have to explain that this is the tool, this was the develop, this is how it is done. It talks to DNS server. This is what it is. So if your practical things are clear, again, you'll be able to get a nice job. People will understand that, this guy is go-getter, and that's what, they needed. Apart from that, I have written few things. So coding skill, for sure, you need to have, great coding skills, whatever your expertise is. You have to make sure whatever courses that you have taken, right? So in your resume, you'll be writing a lot of courses. For example, during our time, if I had CS 402 on my resume, the operating system, the interviewer will understand, okay, this guy is a champ. It's just a belief. I'm just gonna tell you, there are many courses like that. They're superbly wonderful. In fact, all courses are great, but some are very difficult. And if you are, so whatever courses that you have taken, make sure that you understand each and everything, during your interview, this one. Now, when you are in the interview, your communication skills, your confidence, all of this matters, and that's where the other part of the academics. If you have talked to people, like for example, I was fortunate. Many of my friends were fortunate where you used to, organize Diwali event where 500 people, students will come, and we have to speak in front of everybody. Your voice will flutter, and you'll be like shivering and all that. All of these things will go away if you practice in those 2 years. So that extra skills. Now I'm in front of this one guy, I can just answer confidently. Okay, okay, I know this, I don't know this. So these confidence, these skills will actually eventually come when you have time spent well at USC. Your IQ has to be really good, of course. Another thing that I've seen is your honesty, transparency, and what you call it, like your you should not sound like arrogant at all. Whenever you are looking for job, even though you know everything, even if you are 4.0 guy, 4.0, okay, and still Guju accent is coming. So even though you are 4.0 guy, if you sound arrogant, people don't want to include in their team, right? So be very like honest and transparent. If you don't know, say I don't know, and basically make yourself and that other guy also comfortable. But because both of you are kind of new to each other, right? So that's breaking the ice thing. And one last few last pointers I'll say.
Kailash, only one thing is, I think we are running into time issues. So we are going to definitely invite you to give tips to the students about how to find a job another time, right? The next question is it safe to arrive in the USA during this COVID situation, or better to sit out a year? So Jatin, what do you say?
I think I don't see any issue now because most of us are like about to get vaccinated, which is like the young people, I would say. So there should not be any issue. And looking at the scenario in India now, I don't get misled by that because things are at least good in the US now. Okay,
Right.
so get yourself vaccinated now itself, and then plan everything accordingly. If you're going for visa interviews, get vaccinated before that, so that you can show that okay, you are ready to get into another country and get settled there. So things are good here, so you should not be worried about them.
So, earlier I mentioned a video, and I'm just going to repeat that because that gives you the scenario during the summer of last year when a lot of students were getting jobs where we were in the middle of the pandemic. And the companies that came, we didn't see a huge reduction in the number of companies that were coming, and they were recruiting. Our students were going for internships. So that is one of the great things that USC offers. by having a very proactive career center and also being in California. The opportunities that our students have are really amazing compared to many, many other universities. I think the location benefit of being in Los Angeles, which is very close to the Silicon Valley and San Diego, you cannot overemphasize how important that is in the kind of opportunities it brings to our students. So Jaydeep, the next question is for you. It says, I've earned some money in rupees in the past 2 years. And I guess a lot of our students now are working professionals and they've done this. Is it a good idea to convert that to USD and use it for some of my expense, or just depend on my loan and keep the INR here and invest it instead?
Sudha, I think if we see the dollar versus rupees value, it's always increasing, and since last 2 to 3 years, it has crossed sometimes 74 marks also.
Right.
So my suggestion would be just check the conversion rate, how much you have to pay for the conversion. If you are getting it very cheap conversion rate, very affordable conversion rate, like if you have say $10,000 or $20,000 in hand, like in terms of rupees, and then you go for conversion, you have to pay a hefty amount. In that case, you should not do it. But if you find it really affordable to convert your money into dollars, then I think you should pay upfront in the dollar itself to the USC. It will make sense. It will lessen the burden. So yes, that is it. But if you keep it saved in India, again, you have to see the interest rates, in which instrument you are going to invest your money in. So if, and today, right from the tomorrow, the interest rates are more coming down in the government securities and the bank fixed deposits. So it's really difficult to judge. It depends on how much dollar, I mean, in terms of money you have, and how much you can pay upfront and what's the benefit of it.
Okay, thank you, Jaydeep. That was good advice. So I've come to the end of the questions that I have, but I know some other questions came up. There was one that I noticed. The question was, how much time do we have after we graduate to find a job, and the US government gives you a certain time. Jatin, do you want to tell us what the rule is?
So I would say that so once you graduate and once you receive your EAD card, that is more important, because I graduated on 15th of May. I received my EAD card on 23rd of June last year. So your 90 days of unemployment starts from there. If you do not have a job by the time you receive your EAD card, then I mean, it is really important to have a job, first of all. And other things, there are many workarounds. You can stop those 90 days of unemployment by getting volunteer work under a professor. So you can do a volunteer research work under a professor, and in parallel you can keep looking for a full-time job. And otherwise, yeah, it's 90 days. And I've seen a lot of, like, one of my friends has been really unfortunate, and he graduated with me in May 2020, and he got a job recently, like this month. So it's like 8 or more than around 9-10 months. So that is one single case, but he was working voluntarily under a professor, and he did not lose any days from that 90 days category. Yeah.
So just to give you an idea, I run the alumni network for USC Viterbi here in India, and our numbers, we don't have too many fresh graduates coming back to India without a job. Okay. All right. So Divangna, do we have any other questions that we should take? We have another, we can take maybe about 3 or 4 more questions.
So one question that I noticed was getting repeated was about finances, financial documents, and it was mentioned. I mean, that there are few people asking that if I have enough funds right now, and just till my financial documents I need to be submitted, then post that, if that gets repleted for whatever reason, can I go with a different source of funding? Will that affect my visa or anything like that?
Right. So we frequently see students who will show their family funds at the time of the financial documentation, but then later on apply for a bank loan. And by the time they go to the visa interview, they will show bank loan amounts. So that is not a problem. Yeah. Jaideep, do you have anything to say on that?
I think it's fine, Sudha.
Yeah. So showing different funding is not a problem.
Yes, I mean, you have to have enough funding in order to match your I-20 amount, and then
Yeah.
rest of the funding available in the any other liquid form will be fine.
Yeah. Okay, next question.
Okay, so this Shubham asks, for OPT and CPT internships, do I have to relocate or can I do it from a work from home mode?
Well, that completely depends on your employer. If they want you, it's definitely. I mean, I would definitely recommend you to go there. Most of the companies will start office by 2022, summer 2022. Offices will be open, and you should go there because it is easy to convince them that you're good enough for getting into a full-time job. Right? So you should definitely go in person rather than a remote internship.
Okay, next. You can take the next question.
I believe most of the other questions are related to housing, and yeah, most of them are related to housing and vaccination and COVID. So that's something that I think we
That
can
we will
answer.
do, yeah, we will deal with at the needs and, other. So this was an event meant mostly to discuss financial statements. So at the end, before we end, I'm going to ask each of the panelists to just give a quick one sentence advice to each, to all the students. Jatin, you want to go first?
Yeah, we have planned really.
Jaideep, can you mute yourself? I'm sorry. Jaideep, I think you should, yeah. Okay, Jatin, go ahead.
Plan really well. Just 3 words.
What was that?
Plan it well.
Plan it well.
Everything.
Okay. What about you, Kailash?
I think, yeah, we have a limited time. So focus on the academics, grow yourself as an individual, improve your communication skills, be more healthy and professional. And there are a lot of things that you need to do. So keep that in mind, that more planning, the better, you can succeed. So you'll get many opportunities. They are waiting for you. So go get it. Yeah.
Okay, Jaideep, what about you?
Sudha, can you, ask me again, missed in between?
Oh, I think just before we wound up, I was asking each of the panelists to give a short piece of advice for all the students.
Oh, yes. So, I think these two great panelists that we have, they shared the great information, a great value in the information they've shared. So, yes, be focused on your academics and try to build up your skills, particularly as mentioned by Kailash and Jatin both. If you're looking for a computer science major, then coding skill is an utmost important part. Plus, don't mention to explore the USC, the facility, the LA, California, USA, and of course, the great American dream that you are going to follow.
I had
Yeah.
a hashtag Kwabe America, which is like an American dream. And before even I was coming here, and it turned out to be true because it's like the life inside the USC campus is very colorful. I mean, it depends on you how many colors you can pick out of it because you'll be busy in doing other things, managing your studies. But it's wonderful. You will evolve as a great person once you graduate from it. That is definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much. To all the three panelists, I really appreciate you taking the time to answer. Thank you, Devangna, for helping out so much. And to all the participants, I think you've been very fortunate that you had the advice of all these three people. So, let us know if you have further questions. You can reach out to Devangna and to me at any point. But other than that, we hope we've covered pretty much all the questions that you have. Our website has a lot of information. Devangna is giving out the website information as well. So please make sure that you look at it. Detailed PDF documents have been given for the various programs, whether all you need to know is how many units your program is, and you can download the PDF. We will not be generating individualized cost structures for each student if a bank requests, but this information is on the website. So if you are, for example, in a 28-unit program, you can go there and download that PDF 2-page document, which tells you how much your tuition amount is, what the mandatory fees are, how much your living expenses, and all of that. So a lot of the information is already up on our website, so please make use of all of that. We will not be having discussions with students about any of the instruments of finance that were discussed today. So this was a one-off event where we talked about these and gave you, because we've been receiving so many questions, but neither Devangna or I are experts at financial aspects. So reaching out to us and asking questions about whether you should take Credila or SBI are not something that we can help you with. So anyway, I hope you've had a very, very useful session today. It's almost 10 o'clock at this point. Thank you so much for hanging around. If you enjoyed this event and thought it was helpful, please leave a comment in the chat section before we leave. Devangna, did you want to add anything?
Yeah, just one thing. I noticed a lot of you are asking about a recording for this. So yes, the recording will be available, and we will email all of those who have registered for a recording, and even those who haven't registered. So if any of your friends or classmates rather want to know, then they will receive a link with the recording for this session. So thank you.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to leave the session on for any of you who are going to leave a comment in the chat section. We are looking forward so much to seeing you become a part of the Trojan family. So thank you again. Thanks for the panelists, and goodbye and good night to everybody. And Jatin, you have a great day.
So thanks a lot.
Thank you so much for coming,
Thank you,
Jatin.
Sudha.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.